Hey everybody, welcome back to Around the Emirates podcast with Sara Mousa, where I speak to guests from across UAE about topics you want to hear about. Today I am joined by Niki Mapouras-Hyder, who is a founder and CEO of NMH, a company which helps empower women and guides them back to the workplace after a career break. Welcome, Niki.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yay! I'm super excited to have you here. I love women that empower women. So obviously you have a really interesting type of company that you've started. Please tell me your story and why you got into this industry.
Yeah, so I am mother of two. I have a wonderful, supportive husband, and I am also a woman that works in the corporate world. So returning back into the corporate world, I found really tough, and I wanted to mix with other women who wanted to have educated conversations with others that are in the same position. And when I looked into that at the time of returning back into the corporate world, after being a mother, I found it really, really tough. So I didn't want to take my baby to a yoga class. I didn't want to go to a painting class with my child. I had done all those softer skills, and I wanted to do something a little bit more, have a more switched on conversation for my level of corporateness, let's say. And so I looked around, nothing kind of fit that mold. So I thought, right, there must be millions of women in the same position thinking the same as me. So I'm going to create that platform. I'm going to create that network. And that's really how NMH started. I wanted to create a network of women that would pull upon each other's strengths and have those awkward conversations, or have those educated conversations about, I want to return back into the corporate world, but what is my title? My values are different from when I left. My position's different from when I left. My friends are different. My dress size is different. So all of those things combined didn't exist. And that's how NMH was born.
It's very interesting how you position it as like women do go through a massive change when they have a child, and people don't appreciate that as much as they should. It's not just, oh, I went from, and I'm going from a manager to a director title. It's I'm bringing a different type of added value to the table, and I'm doing something different. I look at things in a different way. So it's beautiful how you've brought that up. And you said it yourself, something like this didn't exist before you started this company. So that must inevitably come with its challenges, right?
Absolutely. Even now, I try and tell people what I do, and there's no title, there's no pigeonhole. And that frustrates me because I spend a lot of time explaining what I do to people, which is fine because I love talking about the company itself and me, essentially. But that is exactly why I created the company. There is no shoe that already fits. We are the odd shoe, but the odd shoe that everybody wears, right? So everyone knows a mother, everyone knows, and it's not just mothers that NMH concentrates on. So it's any female that has exited the career world and wants to get back into it. So it could be anyone that's taken a career gap. So it could be someone that's moved to the region, that's perhaps followed a family member over here, someone that has had children and hasn't gone back into the corporate world for 10, 15 or 5 years, or they've stepped out to look after a sick loved one or had an illness themselves. And the more conversations I kept on having with people, the more blockers we were coming up against. So I just couldn't understand why these people weren't connected already to have these conversations with, to network with, to build relationships with, and also an interesting pattern to mentor other people in those positions. So I have senior women in my corporate role where I am now that mentor me, who have been in that position and found it tough to transition back in. So the challenge really is trying to put what we do in a nutshell, because it covers so many different areas, from CV writing to holding workshops to mentoring to one-on-one coaching. You can't just say that in one word. It doesn't exist, right? So the best word to use is NMH, and people just unite on that. But it's been really tough to get that message across. And as soon as people get it, it's like the penny drops. They're like, okay, my wife felt the same, or my daughter, or had a cousin that's going through that right now. So it resonates throughout many. It just isn't packaged as well as or as easily in a pigeonhole as others.
But I think that's the best part about it. It's the fact that you're not putting a person in a box and saying, oh, here's one woman, she had a baby and she wants to get back to the workforce, therefore we have to help her. I love the fact that you're helping such a wide variety. Like there's no one kind of size fits all when it comes to women in general. So the fact that you're doing something that is so beautiful and helping women not just find the career that they want, but also how to get back into the career. It's one thing to say, oh, I enjoy working, you know, banking and finances, but it's another to be like, what do I actually need? What skills do I need to acquire now after X amount of years to get back into that industry? So it is beautiful that you're doing something that is so important for women's career and just self-fulfillment, knowing that they are advancing, they're learning, they're doing self-development. So it's such an amazing thing. And you just said it yourself, you have a wide variety of women that you support. Is there any kind of situation that stands out for you as something that was particularly surprising?
Surprising with the women I support, that's a good question. I think when you leave the corporate world, knowing that you want to come back, or even not knowing if you'll return, but having that as an end goal or a short-term goal, what I struggled with, and so many resonate with, is what skills am I going to bring back to that company or to my career that I have improved on? And I myself found that so tough to compute. And it's only when I started, I sort of stepped back from that intrinsic viewpoint. And I look back and I think, my goodness, I am one of the best negotiators I know, because I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I negotiate with them daily. And there is no reasoning because of their age, because of their intellectual level at the moment. So if you apply the skill set that I have learned on my year's maternity, my 6 months maternity, whatever it is, and I use those skills back into my employment career world, it is phenomenal what you have picked up, what you have inbuilt. My people management skill is fantastic because I've been doing it solidly for a year on maternity leave, right? So we've got negotiation skills, we've got people management skills, my emotional intelligence of understanding different people's needs and emotions and how to manage them. That's a separate skill set that I have refined on my year of maternity. So I have one thing I didn't realize, and I found that is so interesting with working with other women, is they say, oh, I'm 15 years out of a role. Okay, but you've got 15 years worth of experience in a completely different role that probably wasn't paid because it's motherhood, that you can add value into the corporate world in such a big way. So that's a difficulty that we've found, to try and identify in people and try and utilize that in the best way. But what an amazing gem to find in all these different women. They upskill themselves naturally, like I've said, or they physically choose to upskill themselves by doing courses, learning a new trade, investing in different educational skills. And that also brings different things to the table when you return back into the same role, new role, or a different role.
That is actually a fantastic point. You don't consider the life experience that you get when you're kind of off the grid, so to speak. You don't consider the fact that you have learned something that came through your family or it came through your day-to-day interactions with friends or other people. We forget that it's just beyond, you know, computer skills and learning how to use Word or Excel. It is how your people skills, right? So that is something that is super important in this day and age as well. And I've got a couple more questions for you, Niki. My first one is,
Sure.
you are clearly so passionate and so motivated to help women, and not just kind of to tick the box of like the 9 to 5, but clearly it's outside of that in your the kind of the values that your company upholds. What do you feel is your favorite thing about your company?
I love the fact that I'm a living, breathing example of it. And I still am. I'm still growing. The company's still growing. It will never be plateauing. It will never stop. It will be ever evolving because I'm evolving, and the women that I'm engaging with are evolving at different rates, different times in their lives. So I love that about our company. It's live, literally. And I cannot preach what I cannot preach unless I'm practicing it myself, right? So I wouldn't ask anyone to do anything that I haven't tried on myself, or that I haven't struggled with myself, or I haven't tried and tested myself, because that's the message I'm sending out. So I love the fact that that's the essence of the company. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's human. That is also so important because I mess up daily. I'm a CEO of a company. I'm a co-founder of my husband's financial services company, and I don't know it all. I'm a learning CEO, right? I'm a learning co-founder. I'm a learning mom. I'm a learning businesswoman. So I think it's so cool that I am on the journey with these women, but I'm just trying to lead from the front by example, good and bad. That's what I love about NMH. And there's loads of companies out there that do that with a different topic in mind or a different essence to it. But I can't run away from being a mom. I can't run away from being female. And I certainly can't run away from being in the corporate world because that's who I am. That's what I love. So those three things are my true essence of my business. And I live and breathe it every day. And I think that's super special. And it's a personal journey for me. So yeah, I think that's what I love most about LMH itself.
It is wonderful how you talk about how you're continuously learning. Just because you have started a company, because you're a CEO, because you're also a co-founder of someone else's company, doesn't mean you have it all figured out. And that leads me to my final question for you today, Niki. What is your word of advice for the women or people out there that haven't figured it out and are trying to get back into the workforce?
First thing, I haven't figured it out. And I'm okay to say that, right? I don't think we ever will. I don't think we ever will fit perfection or hit that level. But what you should do, and what I did, is surround yourself with people that are thinking the same, because your energy is going to bounce off them and they're going to bounce off you. And you're going to get good things from them and bad things from them. What I did is I immersed myself back into the corporate world, and I was surrounded by people who weren't in the same stage in life, didn't have the same values as me, through no fault of theirs or mine. Just I had changed. I had evolved as a person after having a child, and that was my transition back into the corporate world. So surround yourself with the same people, number one, and surround yourself with people that have a goal and that you want to work on your goal at the same rate as that person. So you're both moving in the same direction. You're not opposite directions to each other, because that's very difficult to get energy off each other and to travel to that end goal together. So once I found my people, so to speak, once I had identified my goal, and thirdly, don't put a title on yourself. I was so hung up about what am I, who am I? Yes, I'm a mum, but I'm a working mum. Am I better or worse than that mum? Don't put a title on yourself. Just go for your goal, and you will create your own title and be extremely happy with it when you get to that end goal. Mine happens to be founder of NMH, and I'm super happy with that.
That deserves applause right there. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful way to package it. That was beautiful. I love the fact that we think don't put a title on yourself. We are so hung up on our corporate identities and what we are labeled as in our 9 to 5s, when really we're much more than just that. Of course, our jobs are very important, and of course it does help with our growth, but we are more than just our jobs. We have lives outside of our jobs as well. And it's been an absolute pleasure learning so much about your journey and about this amazing company you've started. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.